Terry, do you feel that Eddie's got a lot on his plate with his Australia gigs, New Zealand, Italy, Spain, all that, England? Do you think he's got a lot on his plate and he's took his eye off at ball and not sort of signed new talent?
So we're looking at it from the wrong lens. We're looking at it as boxing fans, right?
Yeah.
But look at what Hearn's really driven by. He's got to grow DAZN subscribers. So he's got to grow subscribers in DAZN markets like Japan, maybe the Middle East, definitely Australia, Canada, the United States. He's got to grow markets. So he's got to make people care about sport on their platforms in those countries. So I understand why he's doing it from a DAZN perspective. As boxing fans, it just means that he's trying to make so many square pegs fit into round holes. It's not working. So that Australia show, whatever anyone says, it's a dog's dinner. It's terrible. It's horrible. Top to bottom is horrible. But he'll tell you it's the best thing ever. Like, the only person, well, two people matter in Australian boxing right now, right? Kambosos and Tim Tszyu, neither of which he has under contract.
You got Evan Bridges.
Yeah, the incel's favorite.
What do you think about all these rumours doing rounds that people are saying ever since Joshua has stopped going up to EIS, which has been a long time now, hasn't it? It's not been up there. Ever since Joshua parted company up there at the EIS, that Eddie's not been able to replenish the stocks, kind of thing. Because they had a good run up there with lottery funded EIS, didn't they? Oh, we'll sign him, we'll sign him, we'll sign him. We don't want him, we don't want him.
How many of them were any good? Let's start with 2012. Of the class of 2012, how many were any good?
Well, what's seeing a Coley?
That's 2016. We'll start with 2012.
Oh, 2012. Joshua.
Campbell.
Savannah Marshall. Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell only won a Commonwealth, didn't he?
Yeah, but Savannah wasn't really a matchroom fighter, was she?
Callum Smith. He won that. He won a world title, didn't he? But he won it on a Sauerland show, didn't he?
Yeah, and he hasn't really done much since.
Joshua, he was an Olympic gold. If you can't take him to a gold medal, there's a problem, isn't there?
Yeah. So when you look at that whole EIS thing, what you realize is if you take Joshua out of it, it wasn't a spectacular success. 2016, Fowler, not great. Might win a British at middleweight at a push, and then that's probably it for him. Boatsi, they're scared to put him in the world title picture. Okoli's probably of all the people Hearn has signed, Okoli's the one that we think is pretty much bulletproof at the moment, but not great to watch. But he's a guy you feel is going to be hard to beat wherever you send him. 2020, we'll call it 20. Yeah, let's call it Tokyo 2020. Who came out of that? Who you were like, oh my god, we need him.
Whitaker.
Yeah, and Sky paid really good money for him because they understood that you need a figurehead like that. And they got Lauren Price as well, the gold medalist, and Karasati installed the bronze medalist, Fraser Clark. They hoovered all those guys up because Hearn wasn't willing to pay what they were asking for.
Do you feel that it's come to an end for him now? You know, with Joshua coming to an end and all these other people all falling like stamps or allegedly cheating and stuff. Do you feel that he might just be sat down there in Australia now thinking, do you know what? I've had a good run. We've made millions. I've got a big profile. I should just step back here and have a break from it and just step back out. Or can you see Eddie having fire in his belly and coming back at them all and saying, do you know what? Let's have it. Can you see him doing that, or is he not built from that?
So he seems to work in waves, right? So first version of Eddie Hearn was, let me take undervalued assets. Audley Harrison, Kell Brook, Tony Bellew, Carl Frost. Let me take undervalued assets and make stars. And he did. Yeah. He put his back into it and he was doing what other promoters weren't doing, right? And then he went into that phase from about 2016 to about 2020 of we want to build our own stars. We want to build matchroom stars from the ground up. Yeah. And Conor Benn's probably the best example of that. And then from like 2018 onwards, he started saying stuff like, I just want to work with the big stars. the Canelos, the Joshuas, guys who Chocolatito. No, I want to work with just those pound for pound guys. They're the ones I want to work for. Was DAZN, and that's when you saw him start making overtures towards Broner, Charlo, everyone.
Mm.
And so now he's almost like, well, I've tried to do that. It hasn't worked. What do I do? Do I double down on getting the stars onto DAZN, or do I start building from scratch again?
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to think of something because he's not at the races at the moment, is he?
No. What matchroom fight are you looking forward to right now?
And he is a real. I wanted to see Canelo in with somebody like Usyk or something a bit different. If he's supposed to be this road man, let him step up to cruiserweight. Usyk will drop down, won't he? And oblige him.
Yeah, but if Usyk lost, you just say lost to a small man.
You mean if Canelo? Yeah. Yeah. I see where you're coming from. No, but Canelo's not as big as Usyk, is he?
No.
You mean if Usyk lost? Did you mean if Usyk lost, Terry? You say he lost to a small man.
Probably, yeah.
That's my one. Like, here's somebody accused me. I forgot what it is on there and said, "Okay, you keep using that Oliver Twist, please, more one-liner. It's Terry's." That was my original one-liner, wasn't it, Terry? You nicked it off me, didn't you?
Now, where did I get it? I can't remember where I got it
from. Me. I've been saying that ever since I saw the film when I was about 8 years old. I don't know. Right? I used to take Mickey at dinner queue. He used to, not dinner queue, in canteen in Armley. I used to go up and I used to go, "Please, sir, Mark, excuse you, sir, you're taking another man's meal. Sit down." But okay then. Anthony Yard is going to fight next month on the November the 19th in a keep busy fight. And then he's going to fight Baturbia or Beat-A-Beef, as I normally say it, at the end of Feb. Do you think that fight will happen?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think Yard will just get some Christmas money out end of November? Is that what it is? Just to keep him active and give him a bit of fun?
Getting sharp. Well, listen, mate, you're about to jump in with a real legit killer.
2 killers, though. Yard's no mug. He probably punches nearly as hard as Beat-A-Beef, doesn't he?
Yeah, but you got against someone like Baturbia, you just got to be relentless, like because he will be. So you've got to be there with him at all times, going, "You're not going to dominate me." Yeah. So I think that's going to be an interesting fight. Imagine if Yard puts him down. Ooh.
He put who is it down? Didn't he nearly? Kovalev nearly had him out there, didn't he?
Yeah. Let's be honest. If we've got to start giving Tunde his due in terms of Anthony Yard. Now, I don't necessarily think Tunde's approach would work with every fighter. But with him and Yard, they've got that dynamic. Like I don't know, like a slightly less Andre Ward and Virgil Hunter type thing, where it seems that those two just work together.
The respect's there, isn't it? The respect's there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what? I was thinking about Anthony Yard. I went here this morning and I was thinking how I would approach this Anthony Yard thing. And do you know what? He's had quite a tough couple of years because since he loses his father and his grandfather in the space of a couple of weeks or so, a couple of months.
Yeah.
He's
remember, he lost them and then he fought Lyndon Arthur.
And he wasn't allowed to go to funeral or something.
Yeah.
Like
no one would, remember, we weren't allowed to go to
funeral. No one could go to a funeral. Or, he's had a bit of a tough time, hasn't he, really? He's only a kid, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
He's 30 now. He's only a young man, isn't he? He's no miles on clock, has he?
Yeah, it's hard. And look, and he's come back and he's avenged the loss. And he's and what he showed against Kovalev is he's not scared. All these people that say that he's scared, he's this, he's that, he showed he's not scared of anything.
Yeah, I see. It were Kovalev made him look pedestrian, didn't he? But they only needed him to just get one up button and he could nearly pull it off. And you know what? They nearly did, didn't they?
And also, how many world title fights has Kovalev had?
Oh, he had tons at that time. He was running through everybody, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Yard, that was his first one. You imagine if they had a rematch, it'd be a lot closer.
Oh, massive, wasn't it? What do you think to the stick Joe G's been getting on forums and internet and that over Paul Butler versus I Know You, December 13th. Paul Butler's a former world champion. Is he a double world champion? I can't remember. He's a former champion, isn't he, Paul Butler? And he's got his position to call for I Know You fight. So what does he do? Does he say no to that? Or does he take
Why
it and
would you
roll the
say no?
dice?
Yeah, why would you say no to that?
Exactly, and he's been working towards getting a good pay. He's only a former champion. So I wish him all the best. I give him 10% chance of winning. I know that's harsh. I don't think he's going to win, but I want him to win, and I'll be cheering for him. But he's up against it, isn't he?
Like people, I remember saying people love to moan. They're
Yeah.
they're upset that Paul Butler gets to do it and they don't.
Well,
A
Paul
lot
Butler's deserving of
look,
it, isn't
so let's look at Porky's corner, right? Most people think they can do what you do. Most people watching this are like, well, look at all he does is just sit in front of that background with his hat on back to front. Look at him with his little bow tie around his hoodie and then his little headphones. Anyone can do this. What are they, Sennheiser? I bet you got those from Argos. You know, people just sit there thinking like that, right? And then all you want to say is, mate, come in. There's the equipment. You jump in and you talk for 40 minutes about something. Go on,
well,
talk for 40 minutes.
first, it's hard work. First, you jot a few things down. You have to memorize it. First off, you need a good computer. You need all this stuff here, all microphone and all this. You need your camera. You need a car, your car insurance, petrol. You need somebody to give you an officer who's going to back you. And then you need to know what you're talking about, don't you? Then you need to get a following. And it took 5 years. And I've been through it mill, haven't I? But everybody tried to cut my legs off. I'm still here.
Yeah. And then you got to wake up every day with that enthusiasm. Yeah. You can't have an off day.
Can't have it. Get caught out in front of these cameras.
Mate, you were flinging content out from your sick bed.
Yeah. While I was dying, mate, under 9 stone.
And people, so anyone that thinks that this is easy and you can throw rocks at people like Porky because, yeah, well, he's only doing something anyone could do. No one's stopping you doing it.
Well, these people that have opinions of it on social media, I just said, well, look, you're more than welcome to come on here by Zoom and let's have a chat or let's debate it instead of abusing me. Nobody texts me up on it. Nobody. Because they just want to throw rocks. For balls. Little tiny little petit pois balls for peas.
Mate, they just want to throw rocks. And that's boxing seems to attract more of this kind of person than any other sport I've known. People who just want to throw rocks. And if you met them in person, they'd buy you a beer.
They do, and they meet me.
And one of the things I had to learn, Russ, was not to take things personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? They probably send that abuse to 20 different fucking videos today. It's all right, cool.
Well, they keep me going anyway. That's all I'm going to say. Do you think if Eddie had to rub all them Americans up the wrong way, that he might have broke America? It's just that I read between the lines and I hear little bits and bobs. Dennis knows a couple of people in America, and I got to email them a couple of times. Not many, but when I was there, and I've still got their emails. And he's upset a lot of people over there, hasn't
he? Yeah. So what Hearn did here between, like we said, 2012 and 2017, was create an environment where you didn't need to box in America.
Exactly. And that's why we loved him, didn't we, during that period?
Yeah, you didn't have to box in America. We were getting the fights. We got Frampton, Quigg, etc., etc. We got the fights we wanted here, and they were massive. And that fan engagement, the American fans were like, we want Eddie Hearn over here. We love what's happening in Britain. Look at that fight week. It's packed. The British fans are showing out. Why can't we do this in America? And there was real disillusionment with guys like Bob Arum and Al Heyman at that point. And so Hearn goes, right, I'm going to go to America because the internet's telling me that I'm needed. What he didn't realize was America's such a hard market to crack because it's a real state-by-state thing. Do you know what I mean? You could do a show in Alabama, and I don't know what's next to Alabama. We'll just say Tennessee. They don't care. Or you could do a show in Georgia, and no one in Florida will even care. It's that sort of market. And I think he's learning the hard way that it's not as easy to build stars in America as it is here.
Do you remember when Eddie came out and he said, "Yeah, I've just been into my first American show and that all you've got there's a load of fat people walking around with hot dogs, hamburgers, pizzas, and popcorn, and they don't cheer and all this, and I'm going to change that." And I think it's cheeky, chappy, Essex sort of slang kind of thing. I don't think they got it, did they? You think they didn't get it, did they, at first? I'm not saying they haven't got it now, but I don't think they got it really, and I don't
And
think
I
they
don't
took
think
to him.
he didn't have the humility to just go and learn. He didn't have the humility to build relationships. He only has one way of operating. This is going to be Hearn's downfall. He's not adaptable. So he was good as the underdog. And then when he got to the top, those same skills became they became destructive. And like I learned this in my career, Russ, because like growing up, I hadn't really been given anything, right? So I was always used to having to scrap and to work hard and to be relentless. And then when you get to a certain level in your career, they just throw stuff at you. So you don't need to be that anymore. And I had a year and a half where I had to adapt and I had to change how I looked at my professional life a lot. Like, I don't need to be this intense all the time. And then you learn to let go a bit. But it's a real change that he's going to have to go through at some point if he wants Matchroom to get to that next level.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens with Eddie Hills, the 5-0 Iceman, moving backwards. What do you think is going to happen with Frank Smith now then? Because surely Eddie's team and all them around him must have said, "Eddie, don't try and put this on. Connor's failed the PED test for a proper performance enhancing drug." Wasn't there anybody strong enough to stand up to him to say, "Don't go down that route"? Or did Eddie think he had all bases covered and as he took his eye off at ball?
So my question for Frank Smith is, what the hell happens when he gets home? Like, you got Eubank's sister.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when you're like, yeah, Emily, Connor's failed a test for Clomid? What happens there? Oh, what does Emily say? Oh, well, yeah, Chris will just get on with it. It doesn't bother him. What happens there? Secondly, what the hell's going to happen at that wedding when Eddie Hearn and Senior have to see each other? I said that. I was like, I can't see this wedding happening.
He's been engaged 4 years, man. He's probably never going to marry her. She's probably a right little moody little so-and-so, isn't she? She never strikes me. She looks bossy anyway, whenever I've seen her. She looks to me like she's a little bit bossy. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, but, could Frank Smith do any better? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. No. I don't know what's happened to Frank Smith. He looks like he's put a bit of a timber on, doesn't he?
I think it's all the spots.
I think he's stressed out and that.
I think he's just comfortable, Paul.
Yeah. Do you feel that the public have grown tired of Eddie now, though? Do you think we're all like, we're ready for a change or not him again kind of thing?
Well, we've got tired of him talking and not delivering.
Yeah.
That's what we got tired of. We got tired of the fact that we could predict what he'd say every Monday. Like, Conor Benn would win, and we'd all be sat there like, he's just waiting to put him in with someone like Maurice Hooker so he can just wipe the floor with him. And then you'd hear like, yeah, Conor Benn wants to fight Thurman, wants to fight Broner. And all you ever had to do as a boxing fan is just run the numbers in your head, right? If it costs a couple of million to get Keith Thurman to the UK to fight Conor Benn, where's the money coming from if the O2 only grosses about 1.8 million?
What do you think Keith Thurman would do to Conor Benn at welterweight?
Probably not much now, but a prime Keith Thurman would have stopped him.
Do you think that could be a 50-50 Thurman against Benn now?
Only because Thurman's been inactive.
What about Crawford Spence? Are they still above Benn, aren't they, obviously?
Mate, Echo Esteman's above Conor Benn. Avanesian's above Conor Benn.
Michael McKinson, do you reckon he puts a good show up against Benn? I think he might have just missed boat now.
He did well against Virgil Ortiz. I think Ortiz is better than Conor.
Well, what about Conor Benn fighting Kell Brook?
Mm.
Because Kell's on his way down now, isn't he? But is there still enough left in tank to deal with the Crusher?
There is. Then I mean, you'd take a more meaningful fight, wouldn't you? Like a Liam Smith.
Liam Smith's an hard night for anybody, really, though, isn't he? At 154.
Or 160.
What do you think to Liam Smith coming out calling Conor Ben a cheating B?
He's consistent, right? Because Liam's always been anti-drugs. But I've always had my suspicions about those guys in the Northwest, though. They seem very close to a certain individual who we know used to take steroids back in the day.
Who's that?
You know.
Okay. What about Marcus Morrison? Where do you think he's heading now, Terry? He's just had a win, hasn't he?
What win has Marcus Morrison had?
Yeah, didn't he have a win a couple of weeks back on with Joe?
Against them?
No, sorry. Mark Efron. It was Mark Efron, wasn't it? Mark Efron.
Yeah. No,
I get them mixed up.
Still recovering.
Yeah. I get them mixed up. Mark Efron. He did the same begins we haven't done it. Mark and Marcus.
I'd like to see Efron against Zach Chelly.
What about him against Zach Parker?
No. I don't. I think Parker's a notch above at the moment. I'd like to see Efron against Zach Chelly. That'd be a good fight.
What about
let Parker fight Ryder.
Where do you think Craig Richards goes now? Obviously, he's not short of a few quid. Do you think he's still got a lot to offer?
You got to match him carefully, right? He can't. Anyone who's got a good work rate is a nightmare for Craig. So he probably wants to fight someone a bit slower, like a Pascal. Pascal would have been a good fight for him.
Do you think Joshua Boatz's career, Terry, now it's parked up?
They're waiting for Beterbiev and Bivol to disappear because they know Joshua doesn't beat either of those guys.
Yeah. Do you think if Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury fight in December, do you think it's a bad reflection on where boxing is at the moment, where we've got the blue ribbon division, should I say, and the guy that they say is the main man, the Gypsy King, fighting Derek Chisora? Do you think that's just taking liberties with fans?
Yeah, but we all knew it was coming. At some point, we knew he'd fight Chisora. So let's just get that out of the way now. So who have we had this year? We've had Dillian, Derek. If he fights Usyk next year, we'd taken that run a year ago, right?
People can say, though, that Ali had tick-over fights in between hard ones, though, can't they? Nobody said no then, did they?
Well, I keep saying this. Name me 15 Muhammad Ali opponents off the top of your head.
Nobody can they? We aren't winning on BoxRec.
Exactly. Right?
Free Ken Norton, Free Fraser, Foreman, Holmes, Burbick, Tony Onsaka, Oscar Benavides, Jerry Quarry, Jimmy Ellis, 2 fights with Patterson, that's 11. And even I'm struggling now. Sonny Liston twice, 13. Bob Foster, 14. And let me think. Archie Moore, 15. Boy, it's hard, isn't it? That were hard. No, I'm having to. That's just off top of my head.
That's fights, not opponents, right?
Yeah, that's fights. No, that's we fought. Yeah.
That's not 15 opponents, is it?
Well, there are 15 opponents, aren't they? Fights. That's 15 fights, is that?
No, but 15 opponents. So, like, Fraser counts once, Foreman counts once.
Oh my God, we're going on forever. I'd have to go on BoxRec.
And that's my point, right? There are loads of guys like Chuck Wepner that he fought, Cleveland Williams, Ernie Terrell.
Cleveland Big Clark Williams, Ernie Terrell, everybody, he's a former. Cleveland Williams won him and Ernie Terrell world champions at some point, WBA, or one of them was. I think it was Ernie Terrell, wasn't it?
Or they challenged for it, yeah.
They challenged for that. They'd be champions now, wouldn't they, them?
Yeah.
Old Big Cat, which is the one that kept calling him Clay.
Was that
Ernie
Terrell?
And he
Yeah.
kept saying,
Yeah.
Clay.
What's my name?
What's my name? He kept filling him in. What's my name? He kept going, Clay, Clay.
Leon Spinks as well.
Leon Spinks twice.
Yeah.
You know
So,
what I mean?
when you go through Ali's record, there's a lot of, I don't want to say filler because it's disrespecting some tough guys, right? I mean, like George Chuvalo's a tough guy, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. Like a lot of names we take it for granted because of what he achieved. Zora Foley and all these sorts of guys that historically, like, we don't think of, do we?
When I go through Ali's record, I always remember he won a gold medal in 1960. So Olympic medalist. So he won it in 60. Fraser, he fought him 3 times. He was 64 champion, won it in Olympics. Foreman, 68 champion, he fought him. The 72 champion, wasn't that Cuban guy, and he never went pro, did he? But I think they sparred, didn't they? I forgot his name now. Teofimo something, wasn't it?
Teofimo Lopez.
Teofimo Lopez. 76, Leon Spinks, he fought him twice, didn't he? 1980 Olympics, they were banned from it, but he fought Larry Holmes, didn't he? He came back to fight him after being out a few years.
And Floyd Patterson from the 56.
Floyd Patterson from the 50s Olympics fought him twice, didn't he? In the 60s and the 70s, wasn't it? He fought him late in the 70s and once in the 60s, am I right? Patterson? Well, I know he fought him twice, and he fought Floyd Patterson twice. And he gave him nightmares both times because Ali said the only guy he fought that were quicker than him, quicker feet, quicker hands, wasn't he? So,
yeah, proper athlete.
So Ali, you could say, is a big dog. He's a big dog, isn't he, Ali? And then the other big dogs he'd done. Liston, he'd done him twice. And Larry Holmes was a big dog for years after Ali retired. And Ali said, I'm going to come back and fight him. I'm still a big dog. Do you know what I mean? Didn't Trevor Berbick, once he involved in Olympics as well, but he never won a medal? I'm sure he went to one at Olympics 76, did he, but didn't win a medal? I could be wrong.
He might have.
Well, he fought him, did he, Trevor Berbick, unless he won a Commonwealth. I'm not sure, he was a Canadian, wasn't he? And he fought him, and he lost belt to Mike Tyson, didn't he? When Mike Tyson was coming through. But Ali, he's the guy who could do the Dylan White. You know, oh. He was a big dog, wasn't he, Ali? There was none of that swerving him and all that carry on. He just went full steam ahead, didn't he?
Yeah, for everyone.
For everyone, past and present, and even fought people when he was past his prime who were coming through. And that's why I'll always be a massive, massive Muhammad Ali fan. To me, he is the greatest heavyweight of all time. I don't know about you, Terry, but to me, he is.
Yeah, and also think how rarely he hit the canvas.
Yeah, Henry Cooper dropped him, though.
Frazier dropped him as well.
Frazier dropped him, Henry Cooper. Didn't he have another one when he was young? He'd been down a few times, hadn't he? But Larry Holmes couldn't drop him, could he?
No, but you're talking about a guy who fought like 60 odd times. And look at those times where you're like, even when he was on the decline, they couldn't put him down.
Yeah, they couldn't, mate. They couldn't. He just knew too much, didn't he? I just watch him, me. And I feel cheated in a way because we were cheated a 3.5 year of Ali when he weren't allowed to fight. And like people I've spoke to who were in their 80s, they was, oh God, you should have seen him, man. He moved sublimely, didn't he? And he had everything, didn't he? He had everything going for him, didn't he? I just think that they should have treated him a little bit better. He fought Brian London as well, didn't he, from Blackpool? Didn't he? Wait, Brian London?
Blackpool bomber.
Blackpool. And there were another guy he fought as well. I forgot his name now, but he was from England.
Did he fight Joe Bugner?
Fought Joe Bugner a couple of times. But he fought another guy from England, and Neil Malpaz went over to Germany to be his sparring partner. Richard Dunn. He fought him, didn't he? And they hypnotised him, didn't they, before he fought Ali? And he was running around telling everybody. He told Neil Malpaz, who lives down here. Neil told me up at Chris Medley's gym, he said, he hypnotised him. And Neil was only about 20 at the time. He said, I couldn't believe it. I was there in camp, there Ali, there, Richard Dunn a lot. And 2 seconds, just turn that off. And he said they hypnotised him, and Richard Dunn was walking around saying, I'm going to win. because he was hypnotised and he got in there and Ali bladdered him, didn't he? But what a great fighter, and I just think that we need another Ali. Where are these Muhammad Alis now? Where are they now?
In the NBA, in the NFL.
There you go. And you know, people like Wilder, he'd probably be in NBA if he want a boxer, wouldn't
he? Yeah.
Joshua would have been there if he want English. He'd be in NBA, wouldn't he? Or NFL, wouldn't he? Do you know what I mean? So, but I just wanted to finish off on that. Let's finish off on the topics, but let's round it off on this last question then, Terry. Is Conor Benn going to get banned? Yes or no?
Yes, but he's probably served most of it already.
And Eddie Hills, the 5-0 Icemman from Billericay, free by way of, by the way, big massive puncher. Does he walk from the sport in the next 12 months, or has he got fire in his belly to take Bricktop and all rest of them on? And obviously, Dennis is re-emerging now with more funding, and with Fight Zone, and you know it's going to be different now, isn't it? Things are a lot different. The landscape's changed. Has Eddie got fire in his belly, or is he going to take his ball or bat and ball home? And
no, he's still got a lot of love from the fans. You can see it now, man. He's built this cult of. It's an odd cult of just misfits and weirdos who just worship him because he says and does all the things they wish they could. You know, like in the same way that Jimmy Conway rooted for the bad guys in the movies. They just
I always root for bad guys. Every time I put White Heat on with James Cagney, I'm like, I just don't want him to. I don't want him to die at end. You know, when he gets blown up. I always turn that bit off. Or Goodfellas, I always turn last 5 minutes off. I just can't watch that last 5 minutes.
Or where he starts snitching.
Where he ends up doing a Bertie Smalls on them all, doesn't he? I can't watch that last, but up till then, I'm all right. I can see he's on slide when he's coked up and he's looking out at car window. Oh, am I proud of watching me? Helicopter up there. He starts getting at the old John Fury, thinking MI5 on his case. But when it gets to end of film, I'm like devastated when he's saying, I want to go somewhere cold. I'm like, I remember I watched it in an house in Crofton, Wakefield, in bed. I was like, it's going to bubble them all. Like that. All the way through. I thought, go on, Henry, and then it ends. Feel that a bubble. What's going to happen? Has Eddie got fire in his belly?
Nah, he'll stick around. Too much money. He's just taking the zone to the cleaners, isn't he? So once he's taken all of that money, he'll go back and he'll tell us darts is the next big sport.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure, Terry.
No worries, mate.
I hope you're well. Are you back
too?
to Graf now? Still working from home?
Yeah. Well, listen, this is a new normal now.
You and Rico have had it off, haven't you, really? You don't have to pay any train fares and all that, do you? Tube fares.
Yeah, but then like your house gets more wear and tear, which is annoying as well.
If you see Rico, give him a nudge. I send him texts and that, but he's up to eyeballs at work, isn't he?
Yeah, I think I might be seeing him tonight, so I'll give him.
Rico, but have you gone on a Bosman to Ultrasec, or are you just taking? Are you retired now, Rico? We need you or something. Get back on Porky's Corner, Rico. People asking for you. You take care.
Go on, lad. Take care.
Peace out. Bye. Well, that was Terry Chapendama from London. Originally, I think he's from Zimbabwe. Anyway, Derek Chizora's from. Nice kid. That's about it for Thursday. I think I need to go over and see the dripping tap now. Take my camera. See if he's up for a chat. He never is. Okie dokie, we'll get him on and let him bask in the glory of saying it before anybody that he felt that Conor Benn had been bending the rules, should I say. Okie dokie. Peace out.